So those of you just coming into the video, we're going to be installing the Speed Engineering True Dual 3-inch exhaust and 1 7/8 headers on our shop Trans Am Black Sabbath over there. We're going to be doing the Tick Performance Polluter cam with their spring kit push rods. Put some fresh plugs in there, and that's pretty much what we're going to do. I'm going to stay tonight and just knock everything out is the goal, because I really don't have time to do anything during the week or on the weekends. So we're just going to see how far I get tonight while I have some peace and quiet here at the shop. So here we go. As you can see, it's pretty well got stock exhaust. Looks like somebody's did a little repair at one time or another here. Clamp's been just about ripped off. Been dragging some speed bumps here. Really got one good there. Like I said in the other videos, it looks like somebody's upgraded the lower control arms. It's got a different panhard bar on it. But other than that, some lower end springs, obviously. They're white. I don't know what brand that would be. But I'm about to fix all this. It's got a external cooler here. Maybe that is for the power steering, or they have deleted the other cooler that's normally up there. So, yeah, this is the first time I've had this car on a lift, so haven't even looked under it ever until now. But looks pretty good. It's just pretty much stock, bunch of stock junk. So we're gonna get this off here and get to work and hopefully get all this stuff done tonight. I'll give y'all one guess as to what happened to that back manifold bolt whenever I put a wrench on it. Why does it always have to be the back one that breaks off? This is why I love race cars, and street cars are just not the most fun to work on. So we'll deal with that later. And take off the other side now. So we got down to the rockers. Everything's off. And I'm gonna head home and get some supper. And then I'm gonna come back and finish tearing everything else off. See you then. So I did end up getting the radiator and everything pulled out before I left, but I'm back now. It's about 11 p.m. and we're down into where the camshaft and stuff is now. Got the timing cover off, got the stuff out of the way I needed to get that off, and we're about to put the new camshaft in here. So we're going to use water pump bolts in these holes. I know there's a million videos on this, but just because I tell you every detail what I'm doing, I'm just going to tell you. I'm not going to upgrade the oil pump on this. There's no point, because this car probably won't see but 3,000 or 4,000 miles before it gets a new motor or something like that anyway on down the road. I just don't drive this thing. So it's got great oil pressure now, and I'm not going to mess with it. So we're just swapping the cam. So I turned the crank over to where the timing marks are lined up, where I can just pull this gear off and put the chain back on where it was. I got the valve covers off too, and I'm gonna get the rockers off and stuff. We're gonna get the push rods up and get them out of there before we spin the cam over and knock the lifters back up in their trays. I did go by Lowe's and get some dowel rods to put in there, because one of the exhaust manifold studs is already broke off, like I've already showed you. So the luck on working on this thing isn't looking too good, and I don't want my luck to get any worse by a lifter falling. So I'm gonna put the dowel rods in there just for them extra security. So let's get the camera back up and get these rockers loose, push rods out, and get this new camshaft in. fast forward just a little bit, and the camshaft is in, and everything is put back together. Seen that on the time lapse. I went ahead and put the belt and everything back on. Got the hoses hooked back up, and just call that done. So now we're putting the springs on. And this is the Tick, their spring kit, whatever Jonathan sent me that I needed. So I've got pretty much the cheapest spring compression tool you can get from Summit. You can see it there. What I'm doing, I'm just blowing air in the cylinders. We got shop air here, a pretty big air tank. Even if the power went off, I'd still have air, probably enough to do this whole cam job off that one tank back there. But got continual air blowing in it through a hose from my leak down tester, and that's going to hold the valves up. Usually just take a wrench and tighten that center shaft up until I hear it pop. When it pops, it's releasing the keepers. So at that point, I can take a magnet in there and just grab them and pull them out. And then I can take the springs off and, you know, put all the rest of the parts on there as well. So that's what I'm gonna do. It's a little bit of time consuming doing this part. The other part went pretty quick, but we'll get it done. And then the cam swap itself will be done, and we can start on the exhaust. So got everything buttoned up as far as the camshaft goes. Everything's put back in, radiator, all that, air conditioning stuff hooked back up. I've quickly learned doing this tonight that I am spoiled with the race car stuff. Because street cars, they suck to work on. All this stuff in the way. You got that rat nest versus this. So definitely bringing back some old memories, having to work on these things all the time in streetcar form, which Rusty's over there is a street car, but even his isn't as bad as trying to work on the stuff back underneath that cow. I don't know what it is about that. I don't think there's any meat left on the top of my hands. But got it done. I'm ready to get these headers on and get this thing finished up. I'm gonna have to get some O2 sensors, because the O2 sensors, of course, they're seized up in the pipe, and I heated it up and the threads come off of it, and so we're gonna have to get a couple of them. The coolant sensor just kind of fell off of my hand whenever I went to unplug it, before I took the plugs out and stuff, so I had to get one of them. Just typical stuff, I guess, for the age. So, get this exhaust on when I get back. So we're back at the shop. I usually never have any luck getting these broke off bolts out, but today was my lucky day. We don't even have any of these easy outs here at the shop. Joey had these at his house, and he brought some up here, and I was able to extract that broken off bolt. So now we can finish out the exhaust. So I couldn't get this driver's side header in to save my life. So I got online and started looking around at what people were doing. Seen some people taking their motor mounts loose and all this stuff. I thought, I don't want to do all that. It looks like this little aluminum ear sticking out on the block right up there was the only thing keeping it from going. So Sawzall and a little bit of clearance. That's your redneck tip for this video. Take a 1/4 inch off that ear, the header will pass right by it. So let's finish installing. So I have to say I'm pretty impressed with a $1,000 complete exhaust system that fit together as good as this one. I'm going to walk you through front to back of the things you need to watch out for, some of the quirks, which really ain't a big deal, but more importantly I'm going to show you how all the hangers attach on this system, because I know they sell a lot and I haven't found any kind of instructions that show you pictures of where the hangers go. They just give you like 6 hangers and no really direction of how they go. You just kind of got to figure it out. So I'm going to show you for those guys who are looking on YouTube and want to fast forward through this video and find this info. So as you can see, it tucks really tight to the bottom of the car. I was really impressed with that, how tight it does tuck. It probably tucks as tight or tighter than the OEM system. Maybe not as tight, but the OEM system that I cut off this thing was hanging down low. Somebody had been pretty mean to it. But I'm definitely impressed. For no more money than what it is and what you're getting, it's definitely quality stuff. Like I said, I don't know where it's made, if it's being welded in China or what. I'm sure it is, but you know, for your average street car guy, this is really hard to beat, especially if you're on a budget like I was whenever I was 19 or 20 years old. I couldn't afford anything but to cut my muffler off, you know. So, but it looks really good. Let's just start at the back with the hangers on how to lay those out. So this hanger in the back uses your crash bumper bolts, and it goes vertical. This is a L-shaped hanger. You'll have 2 of them in your pack. Make sure the tubing that's welded on the side of the hanger goes to the inside, and do that for both sides. That's going to make the pipes hang the way they need to. Then moving back to these hangers, they go on the outside. Make sure the welded tube is on the outside. That'll keep it pulled out like it's supposed to. But they go in your factory hole locations. Use your factory bolts where you took your original exhaust hanger off. There's that. So bolting these together, I did just to mock it up, left them loose, and then come back and tighten them later. This funny little hanger here, see if I can get the light above it. This uses your seatbelt hole. It comes with a longer bolt and a nut, and you flip that bracket upside down, it kind of cups it. And this is support for the middle of the system. But you'll have this clamp that goes at whatever random location you decide to put it on the pipe, and you know, that'll be, it don't necessarily hold a leak connection. There's no break in the pipe right here. This is just for that hanger. So there is no more hangers going towards the front. It just supports itself off the headers. Getting dark, that's why I got my light out here so you can see. So the headers, my little trick for getting them in earlier in the video, cutting that little boss off the side of the block, like a 1/4 inch of it, made it way easier because I was lazy and didn't want to take a bunch of stuff off. The next section right here, we got about an 1/8 inch now after I trimmed it. But that is a part of the factory K-member you're going to have to clearance. Right in the corner is where it's going to touch. And it touched on my friend's Camaro that we put a set of these headers on years ago. It touched with his too. So the tip of doing this is, if you're going to wait and trim it till after the header's on like I did, because I trimmed it but it wasn't enough. So I went ahead and put everything on, and I wasn't about to take everything back off just to trim it. So just because it's my own car, I put a pry bar in there, moved the header over, put a block of wood in there to hold it off of it, and then I took a saw and clearanced it more, and then took the block of wood out, and it's good to go. So, but you need to wait until after you connect all your exhaust, tighten clamps and everything, because when you do that, it's going to move the headers a little bit, and you might be wasting your time and having to do it 2 times. So that's just something to watch out for. But I'm happy with it. I'm sure it'll be loud. I'm not really one of those guys that have to have the perfect frequency to tickle my ears. If it's got a big cam and it sounds like it has no exhaust at all, that's pretty much what I like. So there it is. Speed Engineering True Dual 3-inch with the big 3.5-inch tips. So now I'm gonna charge the air up. Got the cam in there. Earlier in the video you seen that. So this project is done for me anyway. I'll probably not touch it for a long time after trying to get all this stuff done in a day and a half or so. That's been the TIC Performance Polluter cam install with all the springs and stuff, and the Speed Engineering 3-inch True Dual exhaust on an F-body. We might as well see if it'll crank before we go home. It's probably gonna struggle.